We're now in conversation with Mmapaseka, the Deputy Minister of Women, Youth and Persons with Disability, an activist in the NGO sector, but a queer activist as well. Mmapaseka, welcome. Good morning to you, DM.
Good morning, Minister.
How are you?
And the listeners. Thank you so much for the invitation.
No, thank you very much. I thought let's talk about the issues that worries us as parents, but as South Africans, we should be concerned. Majority of young children, especially, today we're seeing 10-year-olds getting pregnant. We had statistics that some of them actually are battling, even dropping out. Stats SA shows us that a story of a black young girl that in tomorrow's life we're going to have difficulties because they're not in school. They are dropping out because they're either looking after their children or they're looking after somebody else. But the issue more around teenage pregnancy, weekend I read a story about a child who is 12 years old and saying she's in love with a 45-year-old. So, I thought let's have this conversation. You've been an activist, especially on health issues, but also we could talk. I was a teenage mother, 17 years. I had my son, Tlantla. Difficulties of what we go through as teenagers, but something that we don't wish for anyone else. So I thought, let's have this. Tell me your views around this and what has been your experience, and also maybe perhaps as in your role now as Deputy Minister, who is now responsible for these areas of young people, of women. What is it that we need to do as society to deal with this? Because it's a societal matter.
No, indeed. You are raising a very important conversation that we must face in South Africa because we have this crisis. And this is not only just a South African issue, it's a global issue, which particularly occur in marginalized, vulnerable communities because of many issues. We discuss a lot of what are some of the triple threats that we experience.
Yes.
Poverty, unemployment, as well as inequality, which perpetuate this kind of behaviors. But it's also something that we need to look at around the issues that speaks about, sexual reproductive health and rights, education for young people.
But Mmapaseka, as you say, the issue, these kids, is it not statutory rape? Why are we not, as South Africans, just opening cases for this man in our communities? In rural areas, you find a 10-year-old in townships. Why is a case?
Indeed, you are quite correct when you speak about tackling teenage pregnancies. When you look at the age between 10 to 16, that's a crisis because that on its own is defined as statutory rape. Actually,
those are not teenagers, because teenagers are 16, 17, 18. But those are children.
Teenagers, it is starting from 13, but also at the same time, the children between the ages of 10 to 13 are vulnerable. 10 to 14 and 15 and 16, they're still regarded. All of those age group is statutory rape legally. And because you have to open those cases, they are at risk and they are often overlooked. And that's why we have to give much attention to that. You cannot continue to be having this crisis of teenage pregnancy or children being pregnant at that age for that matter. And also we don't even avoid or ignore the fact that it's adolescent stage that is kicking in. And our country is at risk for that. We've seen the high level of that violation, but also of these pregnancies occur in Eastern Cape, in Gauteng, in Limpopo, for that matter. And the young kids are not even exposed to additional information that will help them, access adequate services that are tailored for young people. But also, how do we address sexual violence? How we address early child marriages that is happening and it's occurring? But also how we address even the issue of lack of education or dropout, as you've mentioned in the beginning.
I think what is just that we don't have much time. It's one of the topics, that is close to my heart, that many of us can relate to. And I really, what is the message? There's a teenager out there who's pregnant, Mmapaseka? What do you say to her?
I think the most important thing is knowing that as South Africans, as South African government, but also within the communities, we are really committed to tackling adolescent pregnancies that are occurring. We need to just get closer to health services where we can get sexual and reproductive health education. But we also need to get to engage with parents because the role of parents' families is quite important. But most importantly, it's really men that must stop impregnating girls because that is them doing it.
Okay, Mmapaseka, there's somebody who wants to call us while you are here. Let me pause you. We've got a quick caller. Quick in.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Minister Mmapaseka, and hello to all the listeners. My name is Innocent Madonzela. I'm a Google Collective Change leader and an activist in a place called Mjejane, whereby I had a petition about the issue that you're talking about today, a petition that was signed over by 10,000 people, and then it's still online. The petition states that, the government is not really doing much in terms of protecting young girls being impregnated by older men. We must not look at the issue of teenage pregnancy because of it's not teenage to teenager. It's not teenagers who are getting these other teenagers pregnant. It is also not the responsibility of only men because of these men keep on doing it when the cases are reported. The cases that have been reported are not being taken into account. And another thing, we cannot say children between the ages of 12 years and younger is statutory rape. It is not statutory. They are not even teenagers. It is rape.
It's rape.
Complete rape. And I've also asked the government, why are they not holding the hospitals, the schools, and all the communities that are helping these children to give birth accountable? Because by law, you are supposed to report. By law, you're supposed to report these kind of things. The school must report, the hospital must report. And then why are they not holding them accountable?
Look, I read a story over the weekend where a police station says we opened a case. We called this child to open a case. And they said no, they refused. But I think because I'm going to run out of time, I need to go to the news. What I would want, Mmapaseka, as we close, how do we interact with this NGO, this petition, because I think me and you are activists in this area. I don't think that I would have a difficulty to sign this petition, even if it means coming around table and talking and supporting and working together to deal with this. In your wrapping up, will you take this up, Mmapaseka, and lead us? Definitely. And bring us all together so that we can deal with this matter once and for all and save our kids.
If he can share his contact details there, and then we will get back to him. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Perfect. Now, action plan. This is what women do. We don't talk, we act. Let's move to the news. Thank you, Mmapaseka, for joining us. We really appreciate it.